What's going on? This is the Broke Genius, and we are in the month of December, and that is we're in the first week of December, and that is Sagittarius season. Okay, Sagittarius is a fire sign, its planet is in Jupiter, the symbol is the archer or the centaur with the archer. It's like the animal-like being. Kind of looks like a deer with a man on it. If you ever saw the movie Chronicles of Narnia, that's a centaur. That character that's in that movie. Personalities of Sagittarius are optimistic, lovers of freedom, hilarious, fair-minded, honest, and intellectual. They're spontaneous and fun, usually with a lot of friends. They are natural lushes. In case you don't know what a lush is, it's someone that drinks a lot. Love new sexual encounters and are perhaps the best conversationalists in the zodiac, maybe tied with Gemini. They tend to inspire the people around them to live their best lives, like a cross between Oprah and Santa Claus. Sagittarius is like a sign that I'd have to say that is one of the many signs that I don't really know about. So in this journey of doing this Zodiac series, it's signs that I actually didn't know that much about. So over the course of this time, I didn't really know about Libra, I might say. Libra is one of those signs that I didn't know about, but now I do know quite more about. Um, Sagittarius is one of those signs that I actually it took me some time to actually compound the information and the data to make sense of it and to put it into words because I really didn't know that much about Sagittarius, but I'd have to say Sagittarius is one of those signs that not to say any sign is less important than another, but Sagittarius, man, it's some heavy hitters that have walked this earth as well as on this earth now that are Sagittarius. It's some reputable people that have shaped culture, society that are Sagittarius. Now I'm gonna go over some famous deceased Sagittarius, and it's so many people that I had to compile a list of people because there's just so many people. And some of these people, these are like legends, okay? The first one on the list I'd have to say is Richard Pryor. Okay, if you young people don't know who Richard Pryor is, he's pretty much like the Godfather, one of the Godfathers of comedy. Second to probably Red Fox. But he was very famous, even more famous than Red Fox. But actually, he's somebody product of Illinois, Peoria, Illinois. He's a son of basically his mom was a madam and his father was a pimp. Okay, he literally lived in a whorehouse. So yeah, look up Richard Pryor if you don't know, and definitely watch some of his old comedy routines. He was one of those legends. Probably one of his most famous movies. He actually been in a lot of movies, but one of his most famous was with Eddie Murphy, where Eddie he was pretty much kind of passing the torch to Eddie Murphy in the movie Harlem Nights. And actually, the funny thing is that Red Fox was in that movie as well. So you have three generations of comedy in that movie Harlem Nights. It's probably Harlem Nights is probably in the top 10 list of all time of black cinema. So if you haven't seen that, if you young, definitely need to see that. No matter what. Now, second is Chadwick Boseman. I did not know Chadwick Boseman, aka Black Panther, and all kind of different cinema movie roles that Chadwick Boseman did, but most famously and recently, he is the quote unquote king of Wakanda, Black Panther, and he just recently passed away, I believe last year of cancer. And he, he definitely fits the Sagittarius, basically script to a T, because one of the things about Sagittarius, they're very, very hard workers. Chadwick, in order to just kind of like make more money for his child that was on the way, and also his loved ones, and just to do what he loved the most, he actually had cancer, and he was still doing movie roles. Okay. Third on the list and um is Red Fox. Okay. As you can see, some of these, some of the most funniest people are on this list. I mean, typically that's how Sagittarius are. You around them, they're gonna crack jokes on you. They're gonna crack jokes about experiences and situations. Want to sit down, get drunk, and just crack jokes all day. Red Fox, he was also a comedy legend. I would say is like almost the grandfather of comedy. He is also a byproduct of Illinois. I actually went to high school with my grandmother. So yeah, it's very interesting. Fourth on the list is Little Richard. In case you don't know who Little Richard is, you ever heard of do you like rock and roll music? Well, believe it or not, Little Richard is one of the grandfathers with Chuck Berry, and of rock and roll. Basically, he is one of the founders of rock and roll. Rock and roll actually started by black people. In case you didn't know that, yeah. So Little Richard was one of those guys that used to, basically, sing over a guitar and a piano, talking about "Good Golly Miss Molly," and he is actually one of the founders of rock and roll. So, Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee, pretty much, man, he was the man. Bruce Lee is responsible for why, a lot of black guys coming up was like, "Hiya!" I mean, basically, that's Bruce Lee, man. Actually had a good book called, it's basically something about his art form, which is Jet Kune Do. He is definitely, you could tell that he had a lot of passion, which a lot of Sagittarius have passion. And he is truly, truly a great legend. Another one is on the list, and I had to put this because I'm a basketball player. Basketball at one time was my religion. Even now, because of this pandemic, it's very um, you know, difficult to play basketball. So it's like kind of sucks. But Oscar Robertson was basically an NBA legend. Older than my time, I didn't see him play, but in the 60s and 70s, Oscar Robertson was, he was a legend on the basketball court. Jimi Hendrix was also a legend because he was one of the basically best guitars that ever played the guitar. He's got a lot of claims to fame. I mean, he pretty much did the national anthem with his guitar, and he wrote a song, believe called "American Woman," and quite a few other ballads that puts him in that rock and roll Hall of Fame status. Another person on this list is a woman, and her name is Shirley Chisholm. Now, why are you talking about Shirley Chisholm, or who is Shirley Chisholm? Well, this lady, older lady that's no longer with us, she was the first black congressman in the United States. Okay, Shirley Chisholm was one of the trailblazers for black females in politics. Okay, most women trying to come up into politics, they already know about Shirley Chisholm. Okay, Joe DiMaggio. Okay, who is Joe DiMaggio? Joe DiMaggio was one of the New York Yankees legends, one of the baseball Hall of Famers. Died kind of early due to cancer. Well, actually, no, he did not die early. He died pretty old with cancer. And he pretty much was MVP. He won a lot of championships with the New York Yankees. He's basically a baseball legend. He was a Sagittarius. And also, we got the Rat Pack member, Sammy Davis Jr. Sammy Davis Jr., he literally was a very, very talented man. He sung, he danced, he basically tap danced very well, and he could also sing. So he was like a triple threat, and he also did very good. He also was somewhat of a comedian in Sagittarius fashion. Definitely a trailblazer. Okay. Um, Another one, why'd you put Pablo Escobar on this list, Broke Genius? Well, the reason why I put Pablo Escobar on this list is because Pablo Escobar was also, he was a drug kingpin, but he was also a legend, okay? Pablo Escobar, basically at one time or another, he was rumored to sell $1 billion a year in drugs basically coming in. He was making so much money that they still don't know where Pablo Escobar's money is hidden. He had hippos shipped from Africa to Colombia, and those hippos are still in Colombia. Actually, it's kind of like sort of they're monitoring it, but the reason there's hippos in Colombia is because of this guy, Pablo Escobar. And then also, he pushed a lot of cocaine from Colombia to all parts of the country. He actually sold to other drug kingpins that are, kind of famous in themselves. He was pretty much like one of the like biggest drug kingpins that ever walked this earth. Like he literally was it's a lot of different shows about him. One is Narco. Check that out. You get a taste of what this dude was about or whatever. And then also his various documentaries and stuff like that. This dude is literally responsible for somewhat of how the drugs came in from the 80s and 90s. Okay, it was coming from this guy and his cartel. So another one I had to go back here, had to put in Ludwig van Beethoven. Okay, on my playlist I have classical music. Okay, I'm a very high class man. Okay, so Beethoven, he was a Sagittarius. I had to put him on here. If you don't know about Beethoven, you should be sitting down and having a talking to, because Beethoven is like one of the founders of classical music. He's just a living legend. I mean, as far as his music is concerned, very relaxing, very calming, very good to study, play chess with, so on and so forth. I mean, it's just very, very good music. Okay. Um, another person that you probably don't know, if you're an artist, you probably know this name, is John Michael Basquiat. Okay. I learned about Basquiat from various documentaries. I'm a documentary buff, so this is a guy that he was kind of he had some private life where he was into homosexuality, and he got stricken with the AIDS virus and he died prematurely. But this guy, he basically he was kind of a starving artist while he was alive, but after he died, his art pieces are up there with like Picasso and other like Rembrandt's and stuff like that. Some of his art pieces sold for mega millions of dollars. John Michael Basquiat. Okay, all you got, everybody in the art world already knows about Basquiat. Okay, another person to close this out as far as the famous deceased Sagittarius is Dr. Sabi, aka Alfredo Bowman. Now, I'm gonna have to admit to you, I know about Dr. Sabi. I'm a herbalist myself. You know, I did not know his name was Alfredo Bowman. I just knew him by Dr. Sabi, but his actual name is Alfredo Bowman. Okay, and he is a herbalist, and his claim to fame is that he actually was curing people of HIV/AIDS, syphilis, herpes, and various different, afflictions such as cancer and also diabetes, high blood pressure. He himself had, well, was stricken with high blood pressure, and he had mild stroke, and he changed his life around, went to a natural diet, and he became very knowledgeable in the herbs and the natural medicine, and was curing people of that. His death is very conspiratory and suspicious, but yeah, he is no longer with us. But his sciences and his knowledge is still here. Okay, so the famous Sagittarius, I would have to say on the first list who's holding down the Sagittarius, no other than Sean Carter, aka Jay Z, billionaire, ex drug dealer, turned rapper, turned basically entrepreneur. Jay Z is definitely number one as far as my list, as far as Sagittarius. His birthday was just yesterday. So shout out to Jigga. Okay. Another person is Samuel Jackson. This person is pretty much, I saw Samuel L. before I actually even knew his name. First time I saw him was on Coming to America. He was the guy with the shotgun that was trying to rob McDowell's. But since then, he's been on Pulp Fiction. That was probably his first claim to fame. And he's been on various different roles, but obviously he's notable as having the language of cussing down to a science. The man can cuss very, very, very well. Okay, so Tina Turner is also a Sagittarius. She is also a old school rocker. She's actually a rock and roll R&B artist. Basically, I would even say rock and roll. She was around the time that these other greats, such as you know, pretty much Little Richard, Chuck Berry, and all of them. She was on tour with those guys. She is actually in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If I if I am correct, if I am wrong, please comment in the comment section. But I believe she is also herself in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So one of her claims, one of her kind of like, I guess, discredits, or let's just say kind of negative histories, is with her ex-husband, now deceased, Ike Turner. She was, getting very abused by Ike Turner, but she was very talented, and she still is very talented as a singer, soulstress basically. And yeah, she got a whole bunch of hits to her catalog. Someone else that um kind of follow a sub to me said that she's living in a castle somewhere in Europe. Shout out to Tina Turner. Okay, Sagittarius. Another one is Pioneer. This guy is a pioneer of R&B. It wouldn't be no R&B without this guy. Or I wouldn't say it wouldn't be no R&B, but R&B might be a little bit different without this gentleman, Berry Gordy. Okay, Berry Gordy. He was the man responsible for Michael Jackson, for basically Marvin Gaye, you know, basically, Motown, basically. Okay, I mean, I ain't that old. I don't remember all of them people, but pretty much the Motown sound, Berry Gordy is responsible for. Okay, he a lot of those artists that were on Motown, pr- most famously the Jackson Five. Berry Gordy is responsible for putting those guys on his record label and getting the most out of history from those people. Um, you know, um, it's a lot of people that he actually discovered with his Motown, actual label. They still have the actual record, the place where they used to record in Detroit. If you go to Detroit, you can actually, probably a 3-hour tour, but you can go find out. You can go drive by where Michael Jackson's childhood home is, and Motown in Detroit is about 3 hours from away from there. So you actually literally drive from Gary, Indiana, to Detroit. It's about a 2.5 hour. Well, let's just say 3-hour drive, and you can actually go to where they actually recorded those hits. So yeah, they still have that as far as a tour. Now, I don't know if they're open because of this COVID pandemic, but I mean they were open at one time. So another person is Jamie Foxx, the singer slash comedian slash actor. He is also a Sagittarius. Okay, Mister, don't blame it on the alcohol. Another one is your favorite stepfather in America, black stepfather, Mr. Russell Wilson. He's a very good quarterback, came out of the University of Wisconsin, and, Seattle Seahawks drafted the man, and the rest is history. He already has NFL ring already, trying to work on another one. And he is married to Sierra, okay? And yeah, um, all of the stuff that goes with that. He is definitely a very good stepdad, and I wish them all the best, him and his wife and children. The following person is Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj is a Sagittarius. Okay. I like some Nicki Minaj songs, man. I mean, I ain't necessarily, you know, Nicki Minaj is kind of like, someone that, they, you either love her or hate her. I don't hate her. I'm definitely, I like some of her songs. She is, someone that, yeah, she's a rapper, and yeah, she is a Sagittarius as well. I think one of the songs that I like of Nicki Minaj is I think I like Starlight or something like that. Yeah, like that's pretty dope song. Another person is Michael Clark Duncan. In case you don't know who that is, Michael Clark Duncan is basically someone that was in. He's an actor that it was in the movie Green Mile. He died prematurely, I believe, due to a heart attack or something like that. And yeah, he was in that movie, The Green Mile, as well as other movies. And he started actually similar to where Mr. T started. He was actually a security guard. I mean, actually a bouncer at a nightclub, and he was discovered, and you know, that's how he got his claim to fame. He was also, a lot of people don't know this, he was married to Omarosa. Okay, Omarosa, that's associated with uh, Donald Trump. Okay, so yeah, that's Michael Clark Duncan. Tyra Banks is also a Sagittarius, you know, model slash actress, and beauty queen. Tyra, definitely hot. She was very hot on the magazine covers in the 90s. Um, she's she's doing America's I think it's American model, whatever, something like that. She is a Sagittarius. Lauren London, she is a Sagittarius. Sagittarius. I actually thought Laura London was a Aries, but she's a Sagittarius. Fire sign nonetheless, but and very beautiful. She is the basically the late ex of Nipsey Hussle. Okay, so she had a child with Nipsey Hussle, son, and yeah, she is very beautiful. And yeah, she is Sagittarius. She is also an actor. I mean, an actress. She was in the movie, I think it's ATL, and she was in a couple other movies, but most notably ATL was one of her breakout films. Another Sagittarius is Patrice O'Neal. Patrice O'Neal's a comedy, very good comedian. Even so much, he was so good of a comedian that a lot of people actually quote his comedy as red pill knowledge of women and philosophy and stuff like that. And Patrice O'Neal, yes, he's a Sagittarius. Did not know that. He was a Sagittarius, so just discovered that doing this Zodiac series. So another notable Sagittarius is Brad Pitt, the who's who of, or you want to call him top shelf Brad, uh, very well renowned A-list actor. Aaron Rodgers, who pretty much destroys the Bears. A lot of heartache, caused a lot of Bears fans heartache and pain. I'm gonna tell you something interesting. A lot of people don't know about Aaron Rodgers though, and it's a who's who of scouting reports and just taking a risk on certain players. Aaron Rodgers was almost the second to third last draft pick in his draft class. He barely got into the NFL. And I just wanted to just point that out because as great as he is, nobody really thought that he was going to be that great for him to be. I mean, the NFL, they have, I believe, like 7 rounds. So literally out of each round is, I think, like 50 players or something like that. So he literally was on the 7th round and he got picked up by I believe he even got traded for. So it was like the Packers just luckily enough picked him up, and he was the backup to Brett Favre, and the rest is history. I mean, I don't, where the Bears fit in. They pick great, and then they get rid of their players, and then they don't pick good players. It's like I don't know, but shout out to the Green Bay Packers for actually picking right and holding on to their pick and their player in Aaron Rodgers, which just torched the Bears really bad about a week or two ago. The last on the list, as far as Sagittarius, is Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao I mean, he's a straight dragon of a beast of a fighter. Okay. He is also a Sagittarius. Makes perfect sense. Fire sign, very fiery fighter. Um, very, very, talented boxer. So I'm gonna close this out with the strengths, weaknesses, common problems. I know this is a pretty long one, but man, he's Sagittarius, man. Y'all pretty, pretty famous, man. It's a lot of meat and bones with these Sagittarius, man, with these these archers. But Sagittarius strengths very good socially interacting, insightful, innovative, independent, hard workers, intellectual, very funny, and love joking around. Some of their weaknesses, Sagittarius weaknesses, they get bored very easily, get very impatient. They tend to be stuck on themselves and ignore others. I got a friend that's a Sagittarius. Trust me, this is very on point. Okay. Yeah, they can get kind of stuck on themselves and they'll just like ignore whatever you got going on. Even if it's something business related, they'll just ignore it and just be stuck on whatever they want to do. It doesn't matter. Very bad ego. Like most fire signs have a very bad ego. Okay. It just goes without saying. A lot of fire signs are terrible with their egos. Their confidence can seem very arrogant to most people. Yeah, for example, like a lot of times I don't really like listening to Jay-Z because Jay-Z could be just so arrogant. It's just like, man, I can't take this today. But rightfully so. Their arrogance is it's very warranted. Confidence is very key. Their compassion can also lead them to get taken advantage of by other people that they care about. Probably example of that is the elevator incident with Jay-Z and Solange. I mean, I don't really know what that was about, but they worked it out. I mean, Solange is very, very, very talented. I'll probably be doing her. I don't really know what her sign is. Let me look her up real quick. Let's see here. Oh yeah, she's looks like let's see here. It looks like she's either a Cancer or a Gemini. Probably a Cancer. Let's see here, make sure. Yeah, I was right on that. See, I'm getting good. So yeah, water take puts out the fire a little bit. So yeah, they, that was one of, I guess, an example of that. But um another thing is they can be very careless to their own detriment. So like kind of like the idea of it is like they'll get involved with somebody and just not caring. Okay, like for example, like I had a friend of mine that he'll get involved with women and they look good and everything, but he'll forget how crazy they're acting or how wacky they're like the red flags that they're giving off because his end goal was just to get with them and everything like that, have a good time, but he'll not notice the red flags, and then next thing kind of just being careless. Then next thing you know, he calling me like, man, this broad done broke my key off in my car and I had to get a new key and she broke some part in my car, and it's like, I'm like, dude, man, I mean, what, you ain't screening these women, man? I mean, what the heck you doing? But that's just one of those things, man. They just kind of can be careless to their own detriment. They could also be very selfish. And even so selfish that they even want you to be selfless to them. So for example, like they'll they'll not answer your call and you have an emergency, but then they'll call you with an emergency and they want you to get right on it. That's an example of that. Sagittarius are like very guilty of that. Common problems is STDs. They, they are very talkative, very social, so they meet a lot of women. STDs is definitely a problem with that. Very, very common to worry about STDs with that in that regard. They also can burn out from doing way too much. Because they like to go out a lot, like to drink, they could be very burned out by all of those social interactions and then having to go to work the next day. Be just like very, very burned out. Uh, Losing a lot of friendships due to their self selfishness and uh basically selfish behavior. They lose a lot of friends, man. I mean, you know, people be like, man, dude, you don't care about nothing, blah blah blah. Then next thing you know, they lose another friend, and it's just one last friend that they can call to kick it with, because they like, I don't, I don't want to even talk to you anymore, because just, a-hole. You only care about yourself, type of thing. So another thing is they have problems with authority because of their wild streaks. I mean, they tend to get bored a lot, and they can have like these wild streaks where they party in one night, get drunk, and then next thing you know, you got a DUI, you know. And then they also have a lot of breakups, a lot of toxic breakups, for example, because getting a lot of different women and then they go break up. Some women do not like breakups. Like, it's literally, I mean, I've been fortunate to not have too much involved with that, but it's some women that they believe breakups is for them. Breakups mean I key your car, I burn your clothes, and I do something to make the breakup, toxic. Like, it's just some women, that's what they feel like they need to do when they do a breakup. They want to break your stuff up, literally. So, yeah, Sagittarius are more vulnerable in that regard because they tend to get in a lot of different relationships with women. Another uh thing on this list is of serial killers. Sagittarius is actually number 3 on the list of most serial killers. So yeah, you definitely want to watch out for them because like a lot of fire signs, Leo, Sagittarius, and Aries. Fire signs are known for their egos, and if you bruise their ego too heavy, next thing you know, I mean, you get shot at. You know, it's not surprising at all. Their Sagittarius compatibility are Gemini and Aries. Recommended careers are teachers, professors, and broadcast journalists, coaches, writers, or hosts, TV hosts, and also salesmen because they're very interactive. Okay, very interactive people. Okay, and they're trailblazers. So a lot of good ideas I've gotten from my friend. My friend, he'll give me an idea, and I'm like, wow, man, that's amazing. That's Sagittarius for you. Okay, so yeah, this was kind of long, but Sagittarius, man, it's a lot to him, man. I have to say, so had to make this a little bit long. Okay, so yep, this is Sagittarius, and date range is November 22nd to December 21. I was a little late with this, but finally got it done.